Today I want to talk about wants and needs, and this is something really near and dear to my heart because um, a lot of us have a lot of wants and desires and needs in our relationships, but we really have no idea about how to go about it. I know in my practice as a coach, as a counselor, every day I hear couples come to me saying, I'm just not getting my needs met. This relationship just isn't working out. And it doesn't have to be just a relationship, by the way. I'm going to talk about intimate relationships, but it can be a work relationship where you've been in there for a really long time, and guess what? You're not happy. You don't like the situation you're in. You don't like your boss. You don't like the workflow or whatever it is, or you just, so relationships aren't just intimate relationships, but that's the easiest place to talk about it. So I know, way back in the day, 6 years ago, when I used to drink for a living, basically, I had one way to meet my needs: get drunk, right? I mean, that was really kind of what it was about. It was like that was the way I was going to meet my needs on a consistent basis. If I was stressed out, I would drink. If I was bored, I would drink. If I wanted to spice things up, I would drink. And if my needs weren't getting met, screw it, I could drink. And that's really, I had like one go-to kind of thing. And I don't know about you, but maybe you also have one go-to thing to meet your needs. Maybe it's food. And when things aren't right for you or things aren't working out, you eat. And that could be the reality. Or if things aren't working out for you, maybe you run. Maybe you're a runner. But when we don't know how to meet our needs, the signs from the inability to do that are dysfunction in our own lives. You get to a certain point in your life when you're not able to meet your needs where you just check out. You run, binge, purge, shop, argue, anything, restrict, cheat, drink, take an Ativan. I don't know what it is for you, but I know that learning how to the art of meeting your needs is definitely like an art form, like I said. I remember one of the first times I was starting to get in the habit of articulating my needs. And by the way, it's different for everybody of why we actually don't know how to meet our needs. But I can tell you for me, when I was younger, I just really got the picture that it was better and easier to kind of just like I was really valued as a kid, I think, because I was an easy kid. I didn't make a lot of waves, I didn't do a lot of I have a lot of needs or anything like that. I just kind of like learned how to take care of myself, and everybody would say, don't worry about Heidi, she'll be fine. And I kind of prided myself in that. Well, don't worry about me, I'll take care of myself, I'll be totally fine. And for a long time I was okay until I wasn't anymore. I wasn't good at meeting my own needs, and then I ended up really kind of self-destructing. And I remember one time I was sitting with Doug, and we were living in San Diego, and I was having this really, really tough day, and I was sitting there with my head down, and it was like a really, really bad day. I was depressed. Everything was wrong. Everything sucked. Nothing was going right. And Doug, my husband, as you guys know, at that time was a master trainer for Tony Robbins. And we were actually living on the road, traveling around with Tony Robbins. So my husband is a master stage changer. So what do you think happens when he comes home and he sees me kind of on the couch, absolutely miserable? Well, yeah, his first inclination is going to be to try to change my state, obviously. But I was like, no, I don't think you're going to go ahead and change my state. In fact, if you're going to try to change my state, I'm going to commit, and I'm going to really commit to being absolutely miserable because I don't want to be talked out of how I'm feeling. And then I was like getting really bitchy and pissed off. And then I thought to myself, well, wait a minute. My husband's just really trying to help me in this moment. He's just really trying to do whatever he knows how to do to make me feel better. So instead of bitching at him or getting mad, why don't I actually show him or tell him what I need? So I grabbed his hand and I walked him upstairs to the bedroom, and we laid on the bed and we spooned. And he was like, and at first he was like, okay, whatever. So I like would lay around him, and I'm spooning him, and I take his hand and I just start like petting my hair. And his hand at this point, he's like, what the hell are you doing? So it's like floppy, kind of like on my head, and he's like behind me, and it's like, okay, and this chick's weird, and I'm like, just, yeah, because this feels good to me. I like this when I'm upset. This feels really nice. So he's petting my head and petting my hair, and he's like, and I'm like, it must be so hard for you. And he's like, no, I'm comfortable. This isn't hard for me. And I go, no, it must be so hard for you. And he was like, oh, it must be so hard for you. I was like, it must really suck. Everything sucks right now. And he was like, it must suck. Everything really sucks right now. I mean, And we went through this kind of little thing, and after about 10 minutes, I felt like $1,000,000, because when I'm in pain or I'm not feeling right, I need very specific things, right? To be validated, to be comforted, to be understood, not to be talked out of my feelings. But other people might actually enjoy somebody coming up and just mixing them up and shaking it up and asking them what's funny right now and making them laugh and getting them out of their terrible mood. You're different, right? What you need in that moment is different than what I need and different than what anybody else needs. But the problem isn't that we're different. The problem is that we expect our partners to be mind readers on what it is that we need. And nobody is an expert on you but you. So it's your responsibility to actually articulate what it is that you need in your relationship. And most of the time when we do this, we then have it all backwards, and we go, okay, so I'm going to articulate my needs. I need you not to be an asshole, okay? I need you not to be a dick. I need you to actually put more effort in around the house, okay? I need you not to act like you're on another planet and you don't see what needs done around here. You know, that's how we start to do that. That is not what I'm saying to do. I'm not saying to say what you don't need through complaining and whatever, because has that ever inspired anybody to greatness? Has putting somebody down actually ever made them want to step up and meet your needs? You know, a rising tide floats all boats. So you focus on what's positive and what you really want. Don't focus on what you don't want. Focus on what you do want. So when I have couples come in, one of the first things I have them do is write down the top 10 things that they're looking for in a relationship. And their lists are very different. They range all the way from respect to loyalty to integrity to truth to fun to spontaneity. I mean, you name it. And again, your list is going to be different than anybody else's list, right? So that's what the first step I would actually ask you to do, is to write down. You know, this reason this came up is because people have been posting questions about when you're not getting what you want in your relationship. So I'm going to answer this question, and I'm going to answer another one today too about passion in a relationship. So for now, we're just talking about wants and needs. So I would say to you, write down, you don't even have to go 10, just go your top 5 things that you're looking for in a relationship. And let's just say maybe the first thing on your list is affection. All right, maybe the first thing you say is, I want to have affection. Do you know that even that is different for everybody? So I might say to you, okay, so affection, so you want some sex. And you'll be like, no, I don't want sex at all. I want like hand holding and hair petting. And you go, oh, okay, that's what affection means to you. To other people, it means throw me up against the wall every now and again, right? Everybody is a little bit different. So what do you want? What is affection to you? And you need to be very, very specific. Affirmation. Okay, affirmation is on your list. You want to be affirmed. Well, how do you want to be affirmed? Do you want to be told on a regular basis what you're doing? Do you just want it to be noticed? Are there specific words that you really appreciate hearing? I mean, when I say to you that I want you to get specific, I want you to get very, very specific. So, you know, I think that the first step is to get really specific. So whenever you're talking about your wants and needs in a relationship, let's just say a lot of the women that I work with, what's something that makes their list on a consistent basis is, I want to feel treasured, I want to feel cherished, I want to feel respected, I want to feel adored. Cherished, treasured, respected, and adored. And when I work with my clients, I work a little bit deeper in the sense of, because everybody wants to talk about how their partner is not cherishing them, how they're not treasuring them, how they're not adoring them. And then when I talk to these specific women, and a lot of the women that I work with, by the way, are the sheroes, the ones who are used to like going a mile a minute, getting everything done, taking care of the whole entire family. And so they think that just because they know how to take excellent care of other people, that their husband or their partner is going to see how they go the extra mile for their child, or how they go the extra mile for everybody else, and then take the hint and go, oh, she wants me to treat her that way. Well, that's not the way life works. The way life works is you teach people how to treat you by leading the charge of how you treat you. So you can treat your daughter excellently. You can make sure that her closet is how I made my daughter's closet today. And I'm going to show you that in a little bit. You could do all those things, but that doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. That doesn't mean that you're going to get treated any differently. In fact, who is even going to notice that? P.S. My daughter's 2. You think she's going to be like, wow, Mom, you like color coded my closet. I mean, I don't deserve it. You know, you think she's actually going to pay attention to this shit? No, she's not going to notice at all. So I don't do things to get a prize. right? I don't do things to get a prize. I do things because it brings me joy in my heart to do them. A lot of the time we're doing things because we want to be recognized for it. We want to be acknowledged for it, instead of actually it's just in our heart to do it. I want you to stop doing things that aren't in your heart to do it if you're doing it to be recognized and appreciated, because honey, that ain't never going to happen. It might happen in a blue moon, but people are people are fickle. They're more obsessed with worrying about how they're doing and what they're doing than how you're doing. Okay? And that's just the reality of it. So stop doing things in order to get something and just do it to give, right? Just do it because that's what lights you up and that's what brings you joy. The second thing I would say is, when I say you teach people how to treat you, if I want to feel adored, for example, and that's on my list, and I say, I want my husband to adore, what does that mean? How would I know that I was feeling adored? How do I know that? Well, it's the little things. Just feel like somebody's thinking of me and feel extra special and feel thought of. Well, then I say, well, honey, how often do you do things for yourself that make you feel adored? And it's different for every single person, I mean, I know it's really like the stock answer to say, well, I feel adored when I do like spa, like treatments for myself and all that kind of stuff. And that's great, but don't wait for your hubby to come home with a ticket saying, here, honey, go spend a day at the spa. You need to book that thing yourself, right? And then if you do that on a regular basis and you take care of your own needs and you book those things on a regular basis, then maybe your husband will follow suit and go, oh, she really likes that. Let me get her that. But even if he doesn't, who gives a shit? Because you're doing it for yourself, and that's what matters at the end of the day. You're happier in the relationship when you go ahead and take care of your own needs rather than waiting for somebody else to do it. And your husband wakes up in the morning to put a smile on your face. I know that sounds crazy to some people because you think your partner's goal is to piss you off or annoy you. And that's not the reality. They actually wake up in the morning and want to make you happy. The problem is half of them don't know how. They literally have no idea to make you happy. And that's partly our fault because sometimes we act like we can't be pleased. And that's something to own sometimes, isn't it? Are you acting lately like you can't be pleased? Is everything making you miserable? So how do you go about meeting your own needs? What do you do in order to make sure that your needs are met on a consistent basis? And if you look at your life as a whole, just for drugs and alcohol, for instance, and a lot of the people that watch these videos are in recovery or, because, I teach at one of the world's leading drug and alcohol treatment centers. So a lot of the people that come in that I work with literally have absolutely no idea, A, what they want, what they need, and then how to go about it. And because literally alcohol or drugs were fulfilling every single need. And we always talk about how that's not the problem, it's a solution. And meaning, if I have a problem in my marriage and I can't connect and I don't know how to be intimate and I don't know how to voice what I want and I feel completely overwhelmed, well, shit sure gets a little better when I take a couple pills. Right? And then I can handle it. But then what happens in a marriage is then eventually hubby goes, shit, you're taking these pills and that's the problem in the marriage. And you go, yeah, the pills are the problem in the marriage. You stop taking the pills, now you're awake for the problem again. The initial problem that created the desire to get high in the first place. So there's underlying issues there, and there are several places that it could be, but one of them in particular is, I'm going to guess that your needs haven't been getting met.